Okay, we are bringing it back. Let's see how long I can talk to the camera to practice talking in front of the camera. I need to find a better name for that. This is probably going to include a lot of ums, likes, and I'm just going to talk off the top of my head just because I feel like this is the best way to be a little more authentic online. And I say that with a little bit of fear, only because I have people that I know, family members who have access to my social media and not by choice. And sometimes they don't like what I talk about on my social media platforms, which is fine and I get it. But I feel like because I know the audience that sees a lot of these videos, I feel like it's only fair that someone who is brave enough, who's also Filipino American, can come forward and set the stage in terms of talking about really vulnerable topics that the average, I guess, like Filipino American influencer won't talk about online. So here I am. I think something that's been weighing definitely on my chest as of lately is navigating my 20s, which sounds really gross just because I'm 26. I just turned 26 in June, and I talked about that last video. So if you want to see me talk about that, check out my last Let's Say Long and Talk video. And when I mean navigating my 20s, I don't mean like what happens after you graduate college. I'm talking about navigating how life really shifts when you're in your 20s. And for me, really, that started when my frontal lobe developed at 25. And usually, when that happens, like people like to romanticize it and be like, yeah, I realized a lot of like things that maybe like 21-year-old me thought was okay, but now isn't. For me, something that really manifested when I turned 25 was my health anxiety and anxiety in general. And that was amplified dealing with grief, especially in my 20s. Because I feel like when I had lost relatives and grandparents growing up, it didn't really like process in my head that like this person isn't going to be here anymore. So to combine not only grief and processing that, but also to combine my anxiety and my health and wanting to like prolong my life, that is something that really, really shook me when I turned 25. I remember I was telling my friends that the second I turned 25, it was like midnight, and I had the hardest time sleeping in New York City because I was celebrating my birthday in New York. And I was just like, what if I close my eyes and I don't wake up anymore? Which sounds crazy, obviously. Hear me. I mean, look. It sounds crazy, and I know it's crazy, but this is a real thing, especially for somebody like me who, when I was in my teenager years, I didn't really care, for myself. I wasn't scared of death, but now because I have such a loving life, a loving support system, it's scary to think that like one day the life you're living right now could be gone in an instant. Not only that, the lives around you could be gone in instants. And it makes you sit back and appreciate the time you have with people, the time you have with loved ones. And it's a continuous feeling that comes up every once in a while, and I definitely felt it not only when I turned 25, but more recently when a boy band member from one of my favorite childhood boy bands, Liam Payne, passed away. That was something that really shook my world because he was only in his like early 30s, and given the time frame of my age now to 30s, that's like telling somebody you only have 4 more years left to live, 4 or 5 more years left to live, and that's kind of scary. And I think it all just draws back to the idea of like wanting to pursue a life worth living. And that's something that I want to do. And I feel like that's why the anxiety hurts more. It's because I feel like I do have a lot left to offer in my time on Earth. And I have a lot of dreams to chase. And that was really, it was really funny because yesterday I was filming an unboxing for some PR that I received off the whim, and I just couldn't like, I couldn't sit with myself and talk to the camera without like wanting to break down and cry because like, you know, at 26, 13-year-old me thought I'd be doing like a lot more crazy, cooler things, but life doesn't move that way for the common person all the time. A lot of the things that I want and a lot of things I want to do are going to have to be built with a slow growth and a slow understanding that like things take time. It's not me. It's not me. It's just life takes time. Things you want, you have to work towards. And that applies to dreams. So yeah, that's something that I think is a really big factor that's been playing into my 20s as of lately. And also grief. I talked about it a little bit, talking about losing, celebrities you admire, but also something that rocked my world recently in the last couple of years was losing not my grandmother, but my great aunt, who played a big pivotal part of my childhood. And I remember like as I was going through the emotions of losing her, part of me felt like my childhood was like slowly closing because again, she played a really big part of my childhood. We'd go visit her, my great uncle, but in Filipino terms, my grandpa and grandma, or my lola and lolo, all the time. And when we got done with her funeral, it was a lot to process for me because for some reason it felt like life felt shorter when she passed. And it was like the very first time in my life where grief really took over me and really like made me think, really made me put into perspective how short life can be if you're not, taking the time to spend it. And it took me a while to kind of get out of that functional freeze of thinking about it all the time and letting the grief like manifest because as people say, what is grief if not love persevering? Grief is kind of like a place of love where love has nowhere to go when you're feeling that grief, and it's because you love someone so much that it weighs heavily. And I think only recently I was able to kind of process these emotions, write them down, get them out, and talk to people about it. And especially like dealing not only with my great aunt passing, but also with like somebody that I had spent a great deal of my childhood looking up to and admiring. I had to relive that consistently and constantly. And I know that it's not the end of grief in my life. And it sucks to think that we're all getting older. Our parents are getting older. Our grandparents are getting older. Like, I'm going to have to live through grief in the future. And that's where anticipatory grief really, like, kicked in. 25 was a fun year, but 25 was also a very, like, emotionally driven year for me. And yeah, it's like, again, like, only as of late I've been able to process these emotions, talk about them out loud with people, and even write them down and realize that like this is a feeling that a lot of people are feeling. And why not put it in a little video for myself to watch in the future to reflect on like, hey, if I can get through it then, I can get through it now, or later when I need it. But I think what it all boils down to is that like you are not invincible. Even if you think you are. And I think it hits a lot when you're in your 20s, especially with like the turbulent job market, and a lot of people realizing that they put all this effort into like chasing an aspirational stable life to find out that it's not what they wanted. And that's basically the consummation of what your 20s is. You're kind of constantly doing things, messing up, and then realizing maybe it's not what I should have done. I should have done something different. And I feel like I'm still going through that. 26 has not been very kind, but 26 has also been very enlightening. 26 has also been very understanding. And I'm like, in a way, I'm gonna like lean into it a lot with my content in the future, just because like I know that I'm probably like the oldest amongst a lot of my friends, a lot of people who are currently going through stuff that I may have went through, and to even have like a video like this is nice to let them watch, and even for like my future lineage. Like I feel like it's nice to kind of cement these feelings in place into physical media like this, just so that I can look back and be like, wow, 26 me, she was going through something, but 40-year-old me, we strong. But yeah, I definitely need to get this out somewhere, so I'm actually happy that I'm doing these little video challenges where I'm trying to talk longer than a certain amount of time. Last time was 5 minutes, this time is 10 minutes. So the fact that I'm even going this length and trying to even stay cohesive to the topic of navigating your 20s is wild to me. But yeah, so 5 minutes, 10 minutes this time. I reached my milestone. Thank you guys for listening to what I have to say. I know a lot of, these videos don't get high views, but again, this is for me. This is like my own little personal diary. If you don't like it, click out and don't text me about it because I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Just delete. Yeah, so I hope that where you are in life, if this makes you feel like you're not alone, if this makes you feel like you're able to get through it, I hope that you are. And I'm on your side. I'm in your corner rooting for you constantly. Thank you for stopping by. I will see you guys next time.